back, Winning Hand. My name is Boom Guy. I'm here with Lethus and LazyTitan, and we are very excited for another episode of the People's Podcast. This is episode 48, all about Nightcrawler. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing good. Good. My voice is a little scratchy, but other than that, good.
All right, I'll take it. You guys are here, and we're excited to talk about Marvel Champions. Nightcrawler is still relatively new at this point. He is the most recent hero, although he's been out for a few weeks. So we're going to talk about his hero card, which I'm pretty psyched about. This is one of the heroes I've been the most excited about leading up to this, so I'm really hyped. Before we get into that, I do have to do one quick fix because last episode I said something that was incorrect. I said we would interview Tony Fanchi for a special episode that would be episode number 49.5. Unfortunately, that's not true. We do sometimes record things out of order, and I tried to get it right, but that interview ended up being episode 45.5. So if you just listened to Moon Girl and you're excited for another interview with Tony, I have some bad news because it already happened. It was 45.5. So sorry for the mix-up. Tony was a couple episodes ago. And if whoever is listening to this is the author of my biography, you can skip this. I prefer you to write me as an infallible character. So we'll leave this off the official record. Thank you. Guys, usually at this point, we talk about what we're excited about. But in our discussions before we started recording, it turned out we're all excited about the same thing. Lethus, what are we all excited about?
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, man, we could have all said one word. You could have said agents, and I could have said of, and LazyTitan could have said S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well, S.H.I.E.L.D. is not an acronym, so it's not even a word.
So we could have each said multiple words.
Strategic
well,
Homeland
S.H.I.E.L.D. is a word.
Intervention.
You just argue that S.H.I.E.L.D.'s not a word.
Homeland Intervention. I'm lost. Who knows?
And Enforcement Logistics
Enforcement
Division,
Logistics Division. There we go. See?
It doesn't make any sense,
stuff.
but they had to make the acronym say S.H.I.E.L.D., so they've
Yes.
shoehorned a bunch of words in there.
We respect it.
Yeah, so Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Lethus, tell us about it.
Yeah, so they just announced, as of the time we're recording, they just announced that the next campaign expansion for Marvel Champions will be Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., with the heroes being Nick Fury and Maria Hill, which I'm surprised by. I didn't think they would put them in the campaign box. I thought for sure Nick Fury would be a standalone hero. But yeah, there it is.
I mean, I said... So, listeners, we did record Moon Girl just before they announced the article, and then it came out a few days after. So you heard us talking about what we were going to see in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., what we were excited about. I did say I didn't think it was going to be Maria Hill. I thought the silhouette was a red herring, and I thought it would be, I think I said Quake. I said Quake. That's clearly wrong. They now showed us, they didn't show us the heroes, really, like anything about them. They just showed us that it's going to be Maria and Nick, which is cool. I think, you know, if it's a S.H.I.E.L.D. box, those two are pretty like central to what I know about S.H.I.E.L.D. at least.
It's unusual that they don't give you any information about the heroes in the reveal article. Usually those are like front and center, so it's a little weird they didn't do it this time.
Yeah, I hope that this approach means we're going to see like more informational releases over time with like a little bit less each time, which is great with me. I mean, I love when we get everything in one big article, but it's kind of cool if we don't have months of silence and then everything, you know, to like manage that a little bit. So we got information about the first 4 scenarios, right? But no hero stuff really.
It's true, but that is actually pretty cool information. There's some nifty, like, unique mechanics for this campaign that sound interesting. Some of the encounters are pretty dang cool. I'm excited for them.
Yeah, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I've been asking for a S.H.I.E.L.D. box for a while. I don't know if we're going to get everything that I want here, but it sounds super cool. Of course, you know, listeners, I'm sure if you're listening to this in the future, it already came out and all this is nonsense. If you are listening with us kind of in real time or semi-real time, you're also wondering, but you've probably read the article. So what I really want to talk about is the silhouettes at the end, because everybody else, you can read the article. I'll put the link down below or in the show notes. You can check it out. if you haven't read it yet, but I'm guessing if you are crazy enough to listen to a podcast dedicated to Marvel Champions, you have already read the article. So let's talk about... Oh, well, there's actually two things I want to talk about. The first thing I want to talk about is something else before we get to the silhouettes. There is 5 scenarios, as per usual, but they only showed us 4. One of the key mechanics that they kind of teased or mentioned is this traitor mechanic where you're going to have to find out who the mole is in S.H.I.E.L.D. and there's these cards that kind of provide evidence, and there's different board members that you're trying to investigate, I think, and figure out who the bad one is. Does that sound right, Lethus?
Ish. I have not read this in detail, but broadly that sounds right.
Okay. I guess there's like, it's almost like you're playing Clue. Like someone gets tucked into an envelope, and then you're seriously, that's what it says. It says you put them in, and then you have to use a combination of things to find the identity of the traitor. And if you get it wrong, like you have to guess at some point, just like Clue. And if you get it wrong, there's some penalty. And if you get it right, I guess, I don't know, you win. Thoughts?
Seems kind of cool. I'm looking through the article right now. Seems like it's going to be... I think this is the one you're talking about. It's either the chief medical officer, chief surveillance officer, or chief tactical officer is your 3 suspects.
Well, they have numbered 1 of 6, 2 of 6, and 3 of 6 down below. So my guess is there's going to be 6 cards.
Okay.
But it does say you have a special aim envelope, and then you're going to reveal that traitor, and you have to use your powers of deduction to expose the mole when the time is right. But you must tread carefully. If you alienate the board before you have a chance to present your case, it'll only make your life harder. So I'm guessing that's a campaign mechanic, right?
Yeah, I think like it's cool that they have something like this to give a campaign more of a kind of thematic mechanic to work around. I think that's something that Marvel Champions, as much as I love the game, has not generally done a very good job of. A lot of times it feels like they tack on these sort of systems on top that don't necessarily make a lot of sense. You have to suspend disbelief a little bit to go for them, like the I don't remember what it was called, the away team kind of mechanic from the last box that you hate so much.
Oh, the missions.
Yeah, the mission
Those
team.
are nonsense. A lot of them in the past were just like, like the Sinister Motives one at the end of the game. There's like a checklist, and if you got so many points, you were going to get something, right?
Yeah, and like the reputation thing is cool in theory and even somewhat in execution, but it doesn't really like scream theme beyond the idea of it, whereas this seems like it's a little more involved. I just recently started getting into Arkham Horror, and I understand what people are talking about. They compare the two games where like Arkham is much more thematic, and I don't want Marvel Champions to be as sort of involved as Arkham is in those terms. But if you're going to commit to a campaign, it's cool to have something like this to bring you along into that campaign.
One of the things I thought was really interesting, though, when we talked to both MJ and Tony, is that the designers put a lot of stock into these campaigns. I'm on record kind of saying I'm not a big fan of campaigns. I think they're kind of throwaway. I play them once maybe, and I don't really go back to them. They don't do much for me. But they said, they put a lot into them, and to them, they are a key part of these boxes. Like they're not an afterthought. So I think, in our interview with Tony, he obviously couldn't talk about this yet, although this was designed a while ago. Maybe that's what they're moving towards, is kind of trying to integrate some mechanics that make it feel like there is a reason to play the campaign other than just like at the end, you get a card you can put in your deck. I don't know. LazyTitan, you have not said much. What do you think?
The campaigns, I don't hate. I think I like this idea. I think I like them doing kind of different stuff with the campaigns, and I don't mind them doing it. Usually, at least in the past, a lot of that sort of experimental villains was used for the villain boxes or the villain packs, like stuff like Kang and the Green Goblin and the Wrecking Crew, for all the where they wanted to switch up crazy mechanics. This isn't quite that. It seems like 5 standard-ish villains. Like they're all a little different. They're getting more interesting, but 5 standard-ish villains combined, but the comic or whatever that ties them together is going to become more important, and there may be even clues there. I don't know. That may have like hidden clues in it and stuff like that, where like there's been mysteries sort of. Like I remember in the Thanos box, it was like it's like, oh, who's gonna take it? And then it was like, oh my god, it's Loki, and yeah, like that was a thing. But this may seem like more espionage, more hidden, which is kind of cool. So it's a little bit different from the villain packs, the scenario packs, without stepping on their toes.
Yeah,
Which
that
I like.
Mad Titans Shadow Box was the first one where like I got the sense that they take these campaigns pretty seriously, right? The fact that they pulled the trick of like it's not actually Thanos, it's Loki at the end.
Because
To
Loki
me
isn't
was
on the box; it's all Thanos. And
right. It was like a
people
secret, right? Like
oh
no
my
one
god.
knew Loki was going to be there, and we, and he has the Infinity Gauntlet. And we were all like, "Wait, Thanos isn't the big bad." We just assumed, and I feel like they, so and it's good to hear from the designers, right? Some of them at least that they are thinking about those things. Okay, so then the last thing I want to talk about is my favorite part of anything, which is reckless speculation. So we have 4 silhouettes. They did the same thing with the mutants, and people speculated for months about who was who, and they argued. I feel like pretty quickly we knew who those were, right? I think within a couple of days, everybody who was on the internet had kind of figured out what they all were. There was some debate over Magneto versus Beast. I think that was mostly wishful. The people wanted Beast, and so they were kind of talking themselves into how this Magneto-looking guy could be Beast. And I was in that camp. I wanted Beast. But I think ultimately we knew who they all were. So these 4 now, this is an audio medium, so sorry you can't see this, but hopefully you've read the article and you've seen the silhouettes. I think I have a pretty good idea of who most of these people are.
I agree. I believe I know a few of them.
So the first one, I will say, I'm pretty sure it's Shuri.
Shuri.
I don't know what the tie with S.H.I.E.L.D. is, but the silhouette, I just don't know who else it could be. And we talked about this a few minutes ago, off air, the 3 of us, and we have some ideas. I think, do we agree on the 4th silhouette? Who we think it is?
I think I didn't see
so.
it, but the way you explain it makes a lot of sense to me. To me, because you only see like a very small snippet of it, it reads like
true.
Black Widow doing like a Black Widow pose. But it's obviously not Black Widow, so I thought White Widow. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But looking back at it, this person appears to only have one arm, which narrows down the number of people this can be very significantly. It's Claw. Which actually, Claw does only have one arm, but he's also made of living sound, so it doesn't really change anything.
It's the drummer for Def Leppard.
What a pull.
No, it's not.
Bucky Barnes, we think.
I think
the Winter
he has
Soldier.
a cat, and I guess he has a cat in the comics.
It also looks like he has a cat sitting on his back, and he looks like he's doing push-ups. So he's doing one-hand push-ups, which is impressive. Less impressive if you only have one arm. Because
why is it less impressive?
Because
Dude's
you
doing
have
a
the
one-arm
weight.
push-up
You
either
have
way.
the weight of a second arm, and it's not like it's like the only option, right?
Wow.
I don't know.
Wow. He has to go through life with one arm. Okay.
Except he gets a sick metal arm and super soldier serum. I don't feel that bad for him. In
I
that
feel pretty
respect,
bad
he's
for
also
him.
like a
feel
sleeper agent
bad.
who was tortured for 80 years.
Yeah.
So that, we don't. That's pretty,
Okay.
that sucks.
Pick a side.
Moving on. You're going to
He was
get canceled if you
whatever.
keep
He was a
talking.
prisoner of war for 80 years. That's obviously cool, but I don't feel bad that he has a sick metal arm.
So the third
I'm sure a sick
silhouette,
metal arm.
are we confident? I feel pretty confident. Lead
I
this.
think I'm
LazyTitan?
75%.
Lead this. Where you at?
So you pointed out that the way they crop the image cuts off an arm.
Both arms, really.
Because there's a good chance that there's a shield being held in one of them, which would mean Sam
Rogers.
Wilson
Oh,
or
Sam
right.
Wilson.
Steve Rogers.
Or
as
Steve
an
Steve
old
Rogers
man.
Rogers.
too.
Yeah, so Sam Wilson as the new Captain America. And because of that, I think you're probably right. My initial thought, not exactly hope, I like Sam Wilson better, but I thought it might be John Walker.
Oh.
Could be
Okay.
John Walker. All we know is
Okay.
it's like sort of a male figure with a close cropped hair.
Very
Which unlike
short.
his military,
Now that I
could
think
be,
about it, he has a shield too, so it could be either one.
it could be either one. We don't see a shield, but it looks conspicuously like they're hiding a shield. You can't see either arm really. You can't see what they're holding in either hand. So
I'm going
we
to go
don't
on record
know.
and say, if it's Sam Wilson, I really hope he's just Falcon. I think it would be a shame if we didn't get Falcon and we got Cap. Now,
was gonna say-
I could be okay with a 3-sided hero card that is
Yup.
Falcon and new Cap.
I think I'd rather just have
Sometimes he
him
can
be.
fly, and sometimes you just can't.
I'd rather have him be Falcon.
I mean, yeah.
Have both the wings and the shield. Like I feel like in the trailer for the movie, he has the wings and the shield. Like I feel like I'd rather
Yeah.
that.
So he'd have the
And-
wings and he'd be Falcon and you could flip and he'd have the shield and be Cap. I don't know.
Just
how that would
optimistic
work,
look. It looks like he's wearing just kind of like a jacket and pants. Could be the
Mm-hmm.
alter ego. So we don't know if he doesn't
I
have the
think it
wings.
is the alter ego.
So we.
but I think they're usually alter
and I
ego
think
pictures.
That true. Also doing push-ups with a cat. I think that leads me to believe that they're also trying to hide the wings. So I think we're getting wings and shield. That's just
All
me.
right.
That's
So
me.
that nails it down to the second one, which is the one where we were a little unsure.
All we really see is long hair, some kind of trench coat, cloak, and a sort of Spider-Man pose of like both
It
feet
looks
together.
to me like someone is looking at something, like they're investigating and
Yeah.
holding
Yeah.
something in front of their face.
Like they're examining a piece of evidence.
And it also
would that
shows
be?
bits of comics behind them. I don't know if that relates to them or if that's just the background.
I don't. The other ones
But
don't super relate.
I'm
I'm
Some
going
of
to
them.
go on record.
You're going on record.
100%,
I love it.
no doubt, in honor of
Love
my
it.
boy Keiko, that's Silk.
Babe Ruth calling his shot. That's Silk.
100% it's Silk.
That would be a surprise.
That is. What?
That is
no.
There it
why?
goes.
No.
unhinged. That is unhinged.
100%
That's crazy behavior. Okay.
too easy.
All right. We're
At
all
me.
going to put a guess
I don't
then.
care. At me.
Lethus, you give me a guess. Who is it?
I
On record so that everyone can at you when you're wrong.
please let it be Mockingbird. I desperately want it to be Mockingbird.
Is that who you want, or is that
Bobby
your
Morse.
guess?
It's also my guess.
All right, I'm going to go with a wild card here. You guys ready?
Go for it.
Jessica Jones.
No.
That's tough. I like that.
Is long hair? Is an
Investigating,
investigator?
long hair,
I don't
trench
know.
coat.
I
don't
Probably
know.
wrong. I have no idea who that is.
Actually,
It's
the
probably
trench coat,
someone
though,
I've
she
never
just
heard
wears
of.
leather. It's probably someone
It's
we've
probably
never heard
someone
of.
I've never heard of.
I don't know.
Boom guy doesn't read comics. We have established that from the very beginning
We've
of the
established
podcast.
that. Long
right.
shot, secondary option, Han Solo.
It could be. It could be.
More like
Easy.
Although I
Steven
think
Feld.
he's still on the USS Enterprise. All right. We are going to move on to the next segment. So before we get to the card of the day, we are rapidly getting to the card of the day. We have listener reviews on Apple Podcasts. So the 3 people who chose to leave a review found out that it only takes 30 seconds to leave a 5-star review and drop a few nice words about their favorite Marvel Champions podcast. We are going to
fascinating.
read them on the air, but I want our listeners to understand the trials and tribulations these people went through to spend 30 seconds of their time on their phone leaving a few words for us. They are heroes. They've done a ton for us. It only takes a minute. So whatever platform you're on, YouTube, one of the podcatchers, Spotify, wherever you listen to us, please just drop a review, follow us, subscribe, like, all that stuff. I won't ask again, but it does really help us out quite a bit. So please.
I will ask again, but just not right now.
I only said I wouldn't.
I have no shame. I'll ask over and over again.
Listeners, you're going to get bombarded. All right. We have 3 reviews to read. Lethus, you want to read the first one?
Yeah, let's do it. Excellent podcast. 5 stars from Acolyte39. Clearly the best, all caps, Marvel Champions podcast. Love the discussion/debates between the hosts. I also like how even though the hosts love the game, they are not afraid to talk about areas where the game may have made a mistake or when a hero or villain is just not that interesting or good. A breath of fresh air.
Woo. That is amazing.
Glowing review.
I will hit the next one, and I'll let you have the last one, LazyTitan. What do you think?
I'll take that.
All right. This one says 5 stars. Awesome podcast from Tolero317. I enjoy listening while commuting to work. You can tell the host and guests on the show love the game, and it makes me excited to play when I get home. Thank you, and please keep making more episodes.
Aw, thank you.
Is this user in luck?
I got good news. All right, LazyTitan, read the last one we have today.
Now, great title. I read this before. I'm reading this title first. Greatest podcast ever about the greatest game ever.
That says it all.
Whoa. 5 stars. From Davey Q. Morris. Love you
Davey,
guys.
you got
I
good
study
taste.
a lot and work a lot. Marvel Champions is a fun break and enjoyment I have. Y'all are always a fun hour. Can't wait to play with y'all at the con next year. That's a dedicated listener right there.
Davey Q. Morris is, of course, talking about the Con of Heroes. And, you know, if you're going to the Con of Heroes next year, you will have time on the airplane during your travels, on your drive, not while you're driving, but you'll have time. You'll have 30 seconds here or there to do whatever you want to do. You know, I said I wouldn't ask again,
But
so
if
I won't.
that 30 seconds was to post a 5-star review about the greatest, and not even my words, the greatest podcast ever, the People's
Hey.
Podcast,
Hey.
about allegedly the greatest game ever,
That's Davey's
I
words,
wouldn't
not
complain.
mine.
That's not even my words. That's a quote. You can quote him on that.
A lot
And
of
I
people are
will.
saying the podcast is
Often.
great.
A lot of people are saying it.
We're nothing if
okay.
not humble.
So we are. Thank you to everyone who left a review. Seriously, that it really does mean a lot, and it helps the podcast kind of climb the charts and the algorithm of whatever Apple does. I don't know. Algorithms are nonsense, but we are fighting against the machine, and we are losing. So leave a 5-star review if you have time. All right, we're gonna go on to the card of the day. So usually when we do a card about a character, today's character is Nightcrawler, I give a little bit of backstory. But you know what? I've decided Wikipedia did not pay their bills this month, and we are no longer sponsored, so I'm not repping Wikipedia on this podcast anymore. I'm just kidding. Please go donate to Wikipedia. Okay, but I do not read comics. So here's the deal. From now on, when we talk about a character, we have a new segment called Boom Guy Doesn't Read Comics. And what we're going to do
Amazing.
is, with the best of my knowledge, I will describe these characters using what I know from movies or shows or memes about these characters. And I will give you the backstory the way I envision it, the way I know it. And if I'm wrong, at me. Leave a comment down below. Send me an email, winninghandpodcast@gmail.com, and let me know I'm wrong. Or let me know I'm right and you love it. All right, so you guys ready for the hear
Subjective
this?
history class. Beautiful.
Ready as
And
water be.
I'm not going to go out of my way to make this crazy. I will genuinely do the best that I can about these characters. So I have seen a few movies with Nightcrawler in it. All right, so
I should
his
say,
name is.
Before we begin, we will
Go ahead.
only read your criticisms on how bad we did if it has a 5-star review taped to it. Just saying.
I mean, I said I wouldn't ask. I didn't say LazyTitan wouldn't ask. All right, so Nightcrawler. His real name is Kurt Wagner. He is German. After his attempt, and really epic attempt, to kill the president in the White House, he went through all the Secret Service. That is a fact. You guys can laugh, but that is a fact. I saw it in a movie. I know that's part of his story. So after trying to kill the president and failing, he left his knife behind. But that's okay. He's really more of a reader, as we're going to learn with the card. He likes to read, but he also carries swords. I think he worked in a circus. I think he's German. I know he is religious. I don't remember what religion, but
He is. Should I interject here?
go ahead.
He is Catholic.
He's Catholic. See, I told you. Boom Guy doesn't read comics, and I don't need to because I already know everything I need to know from movies. He was not in the X-Men 97 show, which leads me to believe he was either dead by the 90s or not born yet. I'm going to go with not born yet because I
Born
know
in
he was...
1998, famously. 26-year-old Nightcrawler.
Hey, I know he was in the Fox movies in like 2005, so he must have not been dead yet.
Only 7 years
So-
old. That's crazy.
Bro, he's a mutant. He, it is what it is, right? All right, so that is essentially everything I know about Nightcrawler. Oh, he's blue, and he has a tail. So
So
I mean,
big parts about Nightcrawler.
I didn't. He's an X-Man, and I don't think I missed anything. So with that
What is his
backstory,
power, Boom Guy?
Oh, he has a power. He says "bamf" really loud, which confuses his enemies, and then he can run around behind them and stab them. So it looks like teleportation in the books, but it's just him saying "bamf" really loud, which is a nonsense word, and it confuses everyone.
And they go,
So
"What?"
then I don't know, he throws smoke or he farts.
hate
I don't
you
know what he
so
does.
much right now.
And then he runs behind and he stabs, except the president. He got all those security guards and then he just messed up the president. So, all right.
And they went back to reading.
Okay.
Yeah, he reads a lot. I didn't miss it. I mean, none of that was wrong.
I actually think it's a significant portion of that was wrong, but aside from that, one thing I do know about Nightcrawler's backstory, which this is treading into the territory of I think this is correct. I believe he's Mystique's kid.
That's accurate.
He's Mystique's
Mystique is also
son.
blue. They must be related.
Mystique, I believe the story is that Mystique got some lady pregnant because she turned into a guy, and then that woman had Nightcrawler and set him on. Oh no, that got retconned. That used to be the story, right? That used to be the story, and then they dumped him because he looked like a demon, and then he had his whole thing. But I think then they changed it recently in the comics to be not that because that was weird, and so they were like, "That's super weird. Let's maybe not do that." And I think now
Isn't
Mystique's just his mom.
Isn't everyone in X-Men comics related to Scott Summers?
I think technically.
So is he somehow related to Scott Summers, like a
I'm
cousin or
sure.
something?
But he did. I believe he was in the circus too, because I think he grew up and looked weird. So they were like, "Let's go to the circus."
I
think of
believe
him
him being abandoned as a baby was a thing. Mystique is his mother. His father is his nemesis in the card game, Azazel. He did join the circus. I don't know how much of that might have been a retcon or something they changed. But
So he's like a carny.
Yeah, he's a
which is
carny.
why he was able to basically survive being a furry blue child and not just get stoned in a village or something.
So I looked it up. As of at least 10 months ago, when this
Way to ruin the
anonymous Reddit post, was posted, Mystique is Nightcrawler's father as of whenever that was. It may have been changed in the last 10 months. I believe it has been, but that was the story at one point.
Okay.
And then I think it's maybe Azazel, like you're saying. I don't know. Mystique is one of his parents at some point. That's why he's blue.
Okay. Well, let's. Also, he's German. I don't know if I mentioned that,
He is German.
but that is somehow relevant.
That's why there's
to
German
all
on
of
this
this. Okay. Well,
He does have a tendency to speak in German a little bit.
now let's go to
Germans often do.
fun fact about Germans. So let's go to the card. Lethus, you are dying inside because I knew his backstory better than you. And I articulated it to a degree that you weren't even sure was capable.
Your knowledge is a
possible.
continuing source of my pain.
This
That is, I
episode
believe.
may burn the podcast to the ground. That may be
Hey.
the death of us. That's Boom Guy tells us the Boom Guy doesn't read comics might be the death of the podcast. In
It
one
might be
episode.
the death or it might be genius. Listeners,
Yeah,
do
I
you
think it's
like
awesome.
the Boom
I
Guy
love
doesn't
that.
read comics segment? Every time there's a
But
character,
I
I'm going to
think
do Boom Guy reads some comics.
It's bold for a beloved X-Men character to just come out and just shoot from the hip and go for it. I like it.
I mean, it's so popular and ever present in popular culture. I feel like I just knew all that stuff. So here we go. Lethus, why don't you read the card for us and let's talk about what actually matters, which is the game.
Sure. All right, let's start with the alter ego. So as previously stated, accurately, his name is Kurt Wagner. He has a 3 recovery, hand size 6, 9 hit points, and he has an action. Search your deck for a copy of Bamf and add it to your hand, limit once per round. And then on the hero side, hand size drops to a 5. He has 2 thwart, 1 attack, 3 defense, and an ability called Rapid Teleportation, which is an action, says spend 1 resource of any type, return a copy of Bamf from your discard pile to your hand, limit once per phase.
Okay. So we're looking at the cards, and right away, I mean, there's a ton of things Boom Guy got right. He's called Kurt Wagner. He has a tail. There's a book involved, and
He
there's
is
a
German.
sword.
There's also a
He's
chapel in the
German.
background.
I didn't describe the art at all.
Confirmed
That's true.
Catholic.
That's okay. No, we just read it. So the art on the alter ego, it's him like hanging upside down from a tree by his tail, reading a book. You can see a church in the background of some kind, or a chapel if you were. And if you're a loyal listener, you know we spoiled the chapel card. We had it first. So
We had it
just
first.
saying.
That was our
I saw
spoiler
it
card.
before you
But it's in
guys
the art.
did. Yeah, and it's in the art, so that kind of ties all together. And then on his Nightcrawler side, it's him like jumping out of a fart with a sword, and he's like coming at the camera, and it's like he's like yellow eyes, like kind of piercing, and he's got like a little red unitard on, and yeah, it's like his normal outfit for Nightcrawler. I quite like the art actually. What do you guys think?
It's good.
I like it.
I have to define his power accurately. You're killing me.
Okay.
Okay, so Bamf
What does he
is the
say?
sound
He
effect
says,
that gets made when he teleports into or out of this dimension. His power actually lets him teleport into another dimension temporarily and then pop back into our dimension. And the Bamf sound is from the air being displaced, because I am that nerd.
And I believe he can go to anywhere, right? He can
Although
teleport
he can
anywhere.
see, right?
But I thought he only did where he can see to limit himself so he doesn't die.
He can teleport, I believe it's anywhere. He generally teleports to places he sees or knows to avoid teleporting into a solid object, which I think he believes would kill him.
I wouldn't feel good.
Okay.
Probably not.
So anything is touching him goes with him, correct?
If he wills it to. So he can teleport objects and people. It generally disorients other people. They're not used to being in this other dimension. Also, when he pops back into our dimension, there is an accompanying smell of brimstone, which is the air from that other dimension, implied to be a kind of hell dimension.
Okay.
But yeah, he can bring objects and people with him
If he wants to.
if he wants to. He's
he
not
wants
forced to.
Is there like a limit to the size of object? Like if he's in a car, can he just bring that with him? If he's in a school, can the whole building go with him?
I don't know. I'm sure this has been established in some way. Like, I'm pretty sure he's teleported multiple people at the same time, but like what the actual limit is, I couldn't say.
At some point, he's probably teleported like the whole planet or something. Who knows? It's probably just as much as he
wondering
needs
if there's an
to
upper
for
limit.
plot convenience.
Okay.
Also,
So-
worth noting,
Yep.
only
yep.
has 3 toes.
He is not
Sort
a
of.
normal, like, human-shaped foot.
Yes,
Yeah.
he's got what are they called? Dirigibles?
That was a
Dirigible toes?
circus injury, I think.
No, not dirigible. Digidegrade. That's the word I'm thinking of. Dirigibles are blimps.
You're thinking of
Digidegrade
Digimon.
toes.
Those are blimps.
Digidegrade toes, which means he's got one of his toes is facing backwards that he can bend like birds or they can claw things. Fun fact for you people. But yeah,
I think you're
he's got
thinking
those
of
kind of toes.
Digimon.
He's also got a prehensile tail. Not Digimon. Stop talking. Also a prehensile tail, and
Boom Guy's on
He's
a
blue.
roll tonight.
Boom Guy's on a
Glowing yellow
hot
eyes.
streak tonight. We're feeling
Boom
good.
Guy he's on a hot streak. It's been a great day.
He's
Okay.
having a great one.
So art, what do you guys think?
It's good. I have a personal thing that makes me sad, which is every time Nightcrawler shows up and has swords. I like Nightcrawler not having swords. Please stop giving him swords.
Swords are
I
sick.
hate Nightcrawler with swords.
Swords are cool. I don't know. I've never seen Nightcrawler with a sword before. It's cool.
Just give him like
It's
a
also
gun
not
or
just
what?
a sword. It's a saber, dude. It's like a pirate sword. That's sick.
It is a saber.
It
We
is
wouldn't
a
just call
saber.
that a sword.
That's a sick,
He's doing some swashbuckling, my friend.
very swashbuckling.
Yeah.
He does.
I will say I like the art on both. My only complaint with the alter ego side is I don't love the shade of blue he is there. I don't. He's like, obviously the shade of blue varies a little bit, so he's a little more purpley in the hero, must because of the lighting and the teleporty. But in like the bright sun, he's like kind of a teal turquoise, and I don't really love that. I prefer like the more purpley blue. But that's just me.
Yeah.
Other than that, I like it.
I love that he's upside down. I really feel like the alter ego art kind of tells a story, right? With the chapel and the book, it kind of makes him feel at peace, and he's just hanging and reading. I really feel like that encapsulates a lot of the character. So I think that's
agree.
really, really good. I think the hero art is like one of my favorite hero arts of the recent waves. I think it's awesome. I think it is really dynamic. It's really colorful. I feel like it really, like you really feel him coming at you and like moving. I think it's really, really awesome. We should say both of these are custom art. By I can't read it. Is it Laura Valari and Andre DeVito? Yeah. Sorry, it's small. But yeah, the art is great, I think. One of the things I always am a stickler on is the little faces in the corners. His is great. I think it's really, really good.
One of the best, to be honest.
Yeah. And it's not even a mask, which is usually like what it takes to make them good. I think the red black with a white stripe color background, the graphic design is good. I think this is just a total home run for art, to be honest.
It's quite good. I like it a lot. Just wish you didn't.
I think it's really, really good. Okay, so theme. I mean, we kind of wrapped that up in the art, but what do you guys think about the theme? Does this feel like Nightcrawler? Do you feel the bamfing and the swashbuckling and the two-toesing?
I think with these two cards, you could get pretty much all of Kurt Wagner. You could get probably a better idea of Nightcrawler than the Boom Guys Doesn't Read comment section gave you from just this. And like just reading these two cards, it says teleportation on it. It says Bamf, which is his signature fart sound. He's blue. He has a chapel, and I'm assuming a Bible he's reading. And he has a sword, and he's teleporting. It's pretty cut and dry what Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
Basics of what Nightcrawler is.
His ability on both sides relates to Bamf, which is like Nightcrawler's signature power. Like,
yes,
it's all built around the theme here. I think it's actually really good.
Yeah, and in terms of the game, I really think the theme really hits here. It is all about Bamf on both sides. It's pulling it from different places, from your discard pile or from your deck, depending on which form you're in. But it's all about Bamf, and I don't want to talk about all of his cards. This is not like a deep dive into his whole kit, but it's all about Bamf, right? As it should be. That's his kind of signature thing. And both of these use that, and I think that's really great and helps the theme. And so, also, he has German in one of his, what's that called? The text of the flavor text. He has German in one of the flavor texts. So, like, all the elements that you need to know about Nightcrawler are in here. I think that's just really good design, honestly. Okay. Power. How powerful is Nightcrawler?
I can't say I've ever played Nightcrawler. At this point, he's only been out for like 2 weeks. And I have not had the chance to play him yet, so I don't know. I've read his cards, and looking at them, they seem pretty solid. Not anywhere near busted, but very good.
But
and I think
focusing
very
on his hero
fun
card,
looking.
though.
On his hero card, he
just
seems
one card at a time. That's the podcast.
As far as okay, I'll just restart it. I have not had the chance to play Nightcrawler yet. He's only been out at this point of recording for about 2 weeks-ish. I have not managed to try him yet. As far as he looks cool. Knowing what Bamf does and how easy it seems to be to get it, it seems like you could do what Nightcrawler wants to do pretty consistently, which is always fun. It's one of my favorite parts of Heroes is when they can do the thing. Decent stats. 2-1-3 is actually a great stat line. 2 thwart feels good. It's like Spider-Man, but better at thwarting. Great. 3 defense always feels good. Also leans into Bamf, which is a defensive card. 9 health. Feels kind of bad sometimes, especially after more and more higher health people come out. But
A little squishy.
he seems good. 5-6 hand ties is classic. Seems really good.
I think 2-1. He's the only 2-1-3, isn't he?
He might be.
Ooh, maybe.
Phoenix is
Scarlet Witch
3-1-2.
is 2-1-2.
Usually I give you all a pop quiz and I know the answer. There's a bunch of 1-2-3s. I don't think there's another 2-1-3. I think he might be unique. Usually I don't have a pop quiz prepped, so I'm not going to ask you, but listeners,
No.
if you think of one, hit me in the comments, hit me with an email, and let me know if I'm wrong. But I think he's the only one. And that's a really good stat line. He has 9 hit points, which is a little squishy. I kind of thought we were going to have someone with fewer than 9, and I did predict that was going to be Jubilee. I was wrong about that.
I feel like Nightcrawler would make sense. He's so
feel like-
teleporty. He would be so squishy.
But based on who's come out so far, I don't know if we'll get one that's below 9. That might be the floor they've established with the hit
If it's
points.
going to be anybody,
so.
it would have been Black Widow, right? It'll be Black Widow or Nick Fury or the people. And if Black Widow is as a human person has 9, I feel like that's the established baseline of human people.
I mean, again, I called Jubilee. I thought that was going to be the one that would have fewer than 9, just because she seems just a little like a teenager and just like a human, right? No special powers other than fireworks, but it wasn't it. So 9 is a little squishy. The hand size is pretty standard. But 2 and 3, man, it's good. And again, this isn't about the rest of his cards, but it's pretty easy to boost that stat line. He has an upgrade that lets you increase that. And that 3 defense is key because Bamf allows you, if you choose, to defend without exhausting, which is like kind of one of his gimmicks. But 2 and 3 defense means he's robust and also can thwart, which
Great
for the
combo.
solo community, they really want that to thwart. And that was not said as a mean way, but I know solo players, they talk a lot about, you want to have 2 thwart with your hero. Levis, go ahead. You can object.
No, I was going to say real quick, just for listeners who may not know, the high overview of the BAMF card is it's a 0-cost upgrade that can be attached to an enemy, and then it gives you an interrupt ability. You can discard BAMF when that target attacks you to make Nightcrawler defend without exhausting.
Does that mean you can defend while exhausted?
Yes, because you don't have to exhaust to defend. So if you're
That's
already exhausted, you can still
Immensely
defend.
huge.
You can't, double defend. You can't exhaust him to defend on top of the defense that BAMF gives you,
No,
if that was
but
your question.
you can defend something else and
Or
then
if he
be
gets
exhausted, get
exhausted
attacked by the
somehow.
BAMF. Defend.
Yeah.
That's
'Cause
super
you can
good.
use it as insurance. You can use it to stay ready if you want. It's up to you how you want to use it.
That's what I kind of ended up using it for a lot when I was playing Nightcrawler the first couple times. Is I found out that actually leaving the BAMF there is great, because if you next round you can use it for one of his other cards, and if you really get stuck in those times when someone hits you multiple times, if you pull the cards, some card that makes the villain attack you, you can pull it then and still be good. So you can either take the attack or defend the first time. It's almost like Quicksilver, like you have a free defense as long as you have BAMF out there. You have one kind of that you can use, which is cool. I did not end up using it to defend as much as I thought I would. To be fair, I have not played in a multiplayer setting yet. I've only played him solo. And I've not played him in protection because I just thought I wouldn't be able to do enough damage and other stuff if I was defending by myself
You should play his
in a
precon.
solo game. I just took his precon apart immediately.
You should undo that.
I can build it again. But so I played him in aggression. That's just what I built him. I wanted to play him a few times before we talked about him. But I didn't find myself using the BAMF to defend. Or the times that I did, I kind of found myself wishing I hadn't, because then I wanted to use it for other stuff. He has a defense card that lets you return it to your hand. So I used that a few times. But yeah, overall, his power, I would say, try not to talk too much about his other cards. I get that's a little impossible, but his power as an individual card, I think, is pretty strong, and his power as his whole hero kit is less than I thought it would be. I thought he was going to really be crazy good, and he is solid, I think.
I think I agree with you. We were talking about, I know, we were talking about Magic, and Magic seemed like she's going to be absolutely insane, and she's more reasonable than we thought she was going to be. I still think she's really strong. I thought Nightcrawler was going to be busted, just ridiculously overpowered, and
Same.
I think he's actually pretty reasonable. He's far more vulnerable to things that I expected it to be. I figured you just auto BAMF to defend every turn, just get away with murder, and it's not
Yeah.
that simple. And part of that's the power level, but part of it is also the design of his entire kit, which again, don't want to get too far into. But feeding back into the theme, the way BAMP fits into multiple lines of play for him, I think is really, really good and cool. It keeps him interesting. It's not like you just use BAMP to do the same thing over and over again every game.
I found myself wanting one more copy of it. Like, I often thought to myself, I wish I had one more copy of BAMP. It's fairly easy to recur, but I found myself wishing, like, I just wish, I don't know. I felt
think
like
three's the
4
right
might have been
number,
the
but I
magic
get it.
number. Okay. It's fairly easy to get back, but I just wanted to use it so many times that, you just needed to kind of pick, I guess. You had to pick and choose instead of being able to do all the things you want to do. You had to kind of pick the one thing you want to do in that moment, which I think is a good segue to the last one. And LazyTitan, I know you haven't played him yet, so this for you is kind of a theoretical discussion, but that leads into fun. So power-wise, I like, in my like rough boom guy brain, he's in like a B tier, I think, somewhere like upper middle of the overall. I don't think he's crazy good. I think he's got some strengths and weaknesses, but like fun, I had a lot of fun with Nightcrawler. I think he is really well designed. At first, I found his, like, he doesn't have 3 copies of any other card other than BAMF. They're all kind of onesie or twosie sometimes. And I initially found that limiting because I wanted some of those cards, but then I began to build into it and really appreciated it more. And I had a ton of fun with Nightcrawler, like more than I've had for a number of heroes in a row now.
Consistently and constantly get your fun card, do your cool thing, and also be effective on the game state, which is pretty much all you can ask for in a fun hero. As far as power, I don't know how the numbers were going to stack up. They seem pretty solid. Almost every card is good, and then you discard BAMF to make it really good. But obviously discarding BAMF is a cost. So it's a lot of... The numbers I have to play a few more times and see how they really work out. But it has all the recipe pieces for a great, really fun hero that are proven from other heroes in the past.
Lathis, any fun comments?
I think he's a lot of fun. I definitely need more time with him. So I've played his precon like 4 or 5 times, which is protection. I've tried making a pretty just standard justice deck, and I played that once. And that I was playing against Claw on standard just to test him out, and knocked stage 1 out in the very first turn while stunning Claw, and then struggled the rest of the game. I thought that was funny. I think there's going to be a lot to figure out with him, but that it feels like there's a lot of deck building possibilities for him. It feels like there's a lot of different lines of play, whatever the deck you decide to run with him. And that's all really cool. And it feels like you get to do Nightcrawler things. Like, I think defense cards tend to be kind of, I don't want to say undervalued, but like, I think they end up being one of the most fun cards you can play, because like you think you have this idea of what the board state is, you end your turn, and then you draw into something. Oh, I got like Bulletproof Bell as Rogue or Backflip as Spider-Man. It's like I can do this awesome thing now and negate the villain's turn. And Nightcrawler gets to sort of loop those things sometimes, or draw a card that end up making his defenses that you already were going to rely on even better. And figuring out how to use BAMF turn to turn is really fun. Do you stick it on the villain and leave it there? Do you use it to defend? Do you use it for some other card? Like, there's lots of decision points to be made, and I think that's really fun.
I agree, and I think unlike cards like Bulletproof Bell that you mentioned or Shield Maiden, you never have the like disappointment of drawing your card, or even whatever Mass Increase, is that Vision's card? I'm bad with card names. Or even that card, because sometimes you draw those cards and it's like, oh dang, I just flipped into the other form, or I just touched somewhere else, and now Bulletproof Veil doesn't help me because I have to only defend against a person who's being touched. So there's that moment of like, if I have touch on an ally, right, because I need to do something on my turn, now I pull Bulletproof Bell, and it's a dead card. Like, that sucks. I never felt that with Nightcrawler because Bamf is where I needed to be, and I can plan ahead and I can use it that way, which is fun, I think, and I think a really good design. That's my biggest issue with Bulletproof Bell with Rogue, is that every other card in her kit cares about where touched is and gives you a different result depending on where touched is. Bulletproof Bell only gives you a result if it's in the one place. Otherwise, it doesn't work. It's awesome when it works, but otherwise it's just like, oh, I touched a hero, that it's a dead card.
I do wish that Nightcrawler had not an unlimited way, but some specific way that he could attach Bamf to a target during the villain phase, like maybe as part of an event or
in response to something or something.
Yeah, because there are times where what you're describing, it's not as bad for Nightcrawler, but you can draw his defense event when like you don't have Bamf on the target. Like, you have one in hand. It's like you have everything right there, but it's just not where you need it to be. And like, you can play around that. I'm not bringing this up as like a power problem, but it feels like a thing that would lean further into that like kind of agility and being able to suddenly do things at the drop of a hat. That's my only immediate kind of like, I wish he had this.
The cool thing I'm excited about is to like use Bamf along with other cards, right? So there's all those cards that let you defend for +2, and if you take no damage, do this, this, or this.
Yeah.
And so pulling Bamf, and then also, I think it's Not Today that lets you thwart, maybe, right? I can just I can play Not Today, pull Bamf, still do that, still get the +2 and thwart, not have, so that you can just do all that stuff. So I'm excited to play him in protection, but I want to play him in protection with other players at the table.
Also synergizes with all the other X-Men upgrade stuff, all the other upgrades
Cyclops.
on characters. Not even just Cyclops, but like all the aspect cards they printed that are
take
do
that.
things, take
Which
that,
you
and
just
all
talked
that
about
extra stuff.
last episode.
I do have a question for you two though. Seems like from reading Nightcrawler's kit, more than a lot of other heroes, it feels like you're going to be wanting playing Nightcrawler cards 90% of the time. Did you feel that it was like, it felt bad to play like more expensive 3-4 cost non-Nightcrawler cards? Because it feels like a lot of what you want to do is Nightcrawler.
I think he's a little resource constrained, but I don't think the hero cards overrule the aspect cards, which I think is what you're getting at. Like,
yeah, it seems like it would.
Playing in protection, for example, so Nightcrawler doesn't have a lot of like hero cards that actually function during the villain turn outside of Bamf. He has like the defense event, and I think that's
Tally Ho, right?
Yeah, it's called Tally Ho.
Yeah.
So for doing things during the villain turn and like profiting off of Bamf in that way, I was playing protection cards all of the time. In Justice, it was actually more of a toss-up. Like, Nightcrawler's cards aren't numerically high. So you tend to get, like, you can have harder hitting cards most of the time out of aggression. You can have cards that remove more threat in Justice. I don't think you skip over the aspect cards for him. He's not like, I don't know, some other heroes.
Ironheart or something?
Yeah, like Ironheart, or sometimes Penny Parker can feel this way, where like you just want to play their cards all the time.
Anything but. Okay. It seems like that would be a problem with him. His resource constraint, I can see that, because you're paying a lot of cheap stuff for a lot of different cards. But he seems pretty solid, pretty interesting.
I think
part
his
of
X-Men trait is doing a lot of heavy lifting with his kit. I think that helps him quite a bit through some of that stuff. If you want to use like Mutant Education, or if you want to use the X-Jet or things like that to kind of boost him a little bit, X-Bunker, anything, or not X-Bunker, X-Mansion, anything like that, I feel like that helps him a lot. I mean, X-Men is just like a really good trait in Mutant, so like having that, I feel like just boosts his power a fair bit. If he was like a Guardian trait or like anything else, I feel like he would slip a little bit further down for me, power-wise.
He also comes with some very good protection cards in his precon.
Yes.
Even going a
Yes.
little even further than off theme here, but just
We're
because
way
you've
out.
mentioned a couple
Way
times,
out of bounds.
he has some really cool protection cards that he comes with in
Something
his.
we might talk about soon because they are awesome.
They are really awesome. There's a couple really cool ones. I won't mention either by name because I don't want to spoil it. But
You'll get fired.
Nightcrawler's a cool pack.
So let's move to final thoughts then, unless someone has anything else they want to say before final thoughts. Nope, nobody has anything. All right, we are going to final thoughts. Lethus, I'm going to let you go first today.
I think I'm actually going to give him a 9. I like him a lot. I'm a little afraid I'm going to discover some combo that just absolutely breaks him. But at least on the first few games I've played with him, he's just fun. Like, playing characters that are really, really strong feels like they trivialize the game, so I don't enjoy playing them. I thought that was how I was going to feel about Nightcrawler, but it's not. He's just fun. He just gets to do all the things. Like, if you're a Nightcrawler fan, this is one of the best hero packs you could pick up and just be like, I want to play this character and do their thing. He's wonderful. He's just great.
LazyTitan?
I'm going to say definitively, because I've never played Nightcrawler, I'm going to say definitive rating does not change. 8.5. I think he looks super fun. He, like I said earlier, he does all the things that I look for in a hero pack when I'm looking at them before I see them. He has a consistent theme. It seems pretty good. You can do it consistently, and it's not super expensive, so you can actually make it happen. It hits all the things, and the thing is pretty good. The thing he's doing is defending, which is always good, and doesn't play allies, or isn't incentivized specifically to play allies, and you could probably get away without playing them. That's huge. That actually might bump up to a 9.
X-Men trait.
No allies, going to 9.
Okay.
That's my boy.
I'm going to go a little lower. I'm going to give him an 8. I think he's really thematic, and both sides of his card really lean into the theme, and it really makes me feel Nightcrawler. Like we said earlier, from the German words to the art to the everything, like all parts of it just makes me feel like Nightcrawler, everything I know about Nightcrawler. And the art is great. The art is 10 out of 10. I love it. I think that's all around just really good. His stats are really strong. I think he has a lot of deck building possibilities, and he's just super fun. Maybe I came in too low at an 8. I'm talking myself into something higher. You know what? I'm going to call it a 9. We're going to call it a 9 also because it is really good.
9.
He is really, really strong and really, really fun, more importantly. I think he feels like a character I'm just going to pull out and play a lot. And anytime a new card comes out, I'm going to look at it and be like, how does this help Nightcrawler? How can I build this and go back to Nightcrawler again? He's kind of the opposite of what I felt with Iceman, which is I played Iceman 4 or 5 times, and I just thought, I think I'm kind of done with this, and I don't know when I'll come back to it. Oh. I just didn't feel like there was a lot there for me to explore. And I haven't really thought about Iceman a lot since then. So, when new cards come out, I didn't think, ooh, how does this improve Iceman? I just have kind of put him on the shelf, and I'm sure I'll go back at some point, but this is the opposite for me. I feel immediately like I'm going to like him a lot. I want to replay him and rebuild him every time a new set comes out, new cards. So, yeah, 9 out of 10. I think he's really, really fun, and his card's really good. Well, that kind of wraps up our discussion on Nightcrawler. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Before we go, I do want to have some just final notes to talk through. There are some changes coming to our YouTube channel in the near future, so please stay tuned for that. We will be announcing it kind of in the relatively near future. If you're listening to this from the future, maybe you already know and this is nonsense. But if you have any ideas or suggestions or things you'd like to see, leave a comment, send us an email, hit me on Discord.
Leave a 5-star review.
Leave a 5-star review. I'm curious to know what people think or what people want more of or what people want less of. I'm just curious to hear some feedback. So please leave a comment. Let us know. And we will be back next episode for our Halloween themed episode because it's coming out right around Halloween. So we will have a spooky themed card. So we'll let you know what it is when the time comes. I'm not going to spoil it now. And then the last thing I want to mention is that I have been working with another Discord member that I met at the Con of Heroes last year, and we have been working on a custom art project for hero cards. We have gone back and begun re-arting or, putting new art on every single hero card. So we did the core set and now we're into wave 1, and I'm not ready to show them off yet, but the idea is we're going to go all the way through, and I have some of them printed. So I have them in front of me. The core set is already printed in front of me, and I'm going to be kind of giving them away here and there, maybe some at the con, maybe some for random giveaways. I only printed like 20 of each one, so they are very rare, but they are super, super cool. I think you two have seen some of them, at least.
I think I've seen most of them.
Can confirm.
They're really awesome, and I hope people are going to like them. So we're going to start kind of giving them away here and there as special things, and I hope people like them. I'm pretty excited about it. So stay tuned for that. That's also coming up soon. And that's kind of it. Anybody have anything they want to add before we go?
Two things. I will say my favorite one that I've seen, Natasha Romanoff. No spoilers. Second thing, the German words on Nightcrawler mean sorry or like my bad. Fun fact for all you non-German speakers out there.
Turns out LazyTitan is actually Nightcrawler.
I am actually Nightcrawler. So Verzeihung means, I'm sure I butchered that, but it means
my
like,
bad.
My bad. Like my fault.
For all of our
I didn't mean
German listeners out there, of which there are some,
there are
Germany is like in our top 10 countries that we get downloads from.
We can't have more than 12 countries that listen to us.
Bro, no, there's like 50.
50?
I'm not even kidding. Yeah.
Oh,
there's
man.
like one person in Singapore, and there's like
Shout out to
random
that guy.
countries.
Shout out to the
or
Singaporean
girl.
listener. Shout out to you.
There's so many. I think the top 3 are generally the US, Canada, and England, and then like New Zealand and Australia are pretty high, so like English speaking, but like the Netherlands is pretty high, Germany, Denmark is always really high as well. So all of our Danish fans, thank you. However
Shout
you
out
say
to the
that.
Germans.
Tak is how you say that in Danish.
For the Nightcrawler fans, shout out to the Germans.
And
Big ups
there
to you
is
guys.
actually a German podcaster and YouTuber. His name is, I'm sorry if I get this wrong. I think it's Cards and Dice or Boards and Dice. Cards and Dice, maybe. He is a German YouTuber, so I'm sure his discussion on Nightcrawler is just awesome. And, they
In
have
German.
a kinship. They're both blue. I'm just kidding. His podcast logo is blue. But shout out to Cards and Dice if you're listening. Hit
Just
me
for
on
being
Discord.
German. Good for you, man.
Yeah, just for being German. Maybe we'll make some German promo cards. Anyway, that's it for us today. This is devolving into nothing. So thank you for listening. We will be back next episode for Halloween themed. And in the meantime, we hope you have a good one and enjoy playing Marvel Champions. We'll see you later.
Later.